What happened to serving in marriage? Hello, everyone. This is Cafe Negro Show, and I am your host, George.
Hello, and this is Adriana.
Thank you for joining us again. As we mentioned last time, we are almost 7,000 subscribers strong on YouTube, and now we are on Spotify. If you haven't yet, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share for more.
So, on last week's episode, we talked about making room for love and the importance of that to maintain a healthy relationship in the midst of work, kids, and chores.
That was a good one.
Yes, so if you can, go ahead and go to Spotify and listen to that episode. Today, we are discussing how to serve in marriage.
Serving.
And the verse that we want to reference is on Ephesians 5:21. And it says, submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. So the key word here is submit.
Ooh, that's a very strong word. Which submit means serve, right? It's to serve.
Yeah, it's to serve. It's to put others' needs before your own. And what we forget sometimes is that submitting is a regular part of life. The Bible calls us to submit over and over again. It tells us that we have to submit to the authorities, to the government, right? And by paying your taxes, guess what? You are submitting. By sending your kids to school, you are submitting. We are constantly submitting.
Your boss at work too?
Yes, all of that. But for some reason in marriage, this particular verse gets a lot of negative comments because of that word submit, especially to the women that it says, wives, submit to your husbands. But again, it's calling us to do that, but not only to your husbands, to everyone, putting others' needs before your own.
And it's weird that it's controversial, right? Because like you just mentioned, it seems to feel very normal in society, right? We don't seem to question it or feel some type of way when we're paying our taxes. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not the most excited to pay the taxes, but I understand, we're all contributing.
We know we have to do it, so we have no problem with it.
Exactly. It seems like a normal, non-offensive part of life when we go to work and the boss tells you what to do. This is the assignment. It's you submit to the authority, to whoever the manager is, And sometimes you go to work and the manager is 10 years younger than you and they tell you what to do and you're just like, ugh. You're a manager, so you have to submit to that authority. So it does seem to be very popular and makes sense to use in everyday society. But when it comes to marriage, right, which is service within the marriage, there seems to be a little bit of difficulty getting through past this word, right? And I've noticed that if we're able to see, change our perspective of how we see it, it could benefit us a lot. How do you see it as far as like when it comes to submission in a marriage, serving in marriage?
Yeah.
How does that look like?
Yeah, I like that analogy that you use about work because, for work, we all want to excel and they ask us to go the extra mile to do OT and we do it, right? We go the extra mile because we want to be the best worker, or at least,
you want to stand out.
Ideally, if you like your job, you do want to be the best worker. But in a marriage, sometimes we're not willing to go the extra mile. We're not willing to do good works for our partner, and that just doesn't make sense. And again, the Bible calls us to do this. And in a verse in Philippians chapter 2, it talks about this more in depth about putting others' needs before your own and how Jesus did this. And if we are not willing to do this in marriage, what is the opposite of not putting others' needs before your own is selfishness, is pride. And we are not exalting God by doing that.
Obviously, we all have a background, right? I mean, before I met you, you had your experience at home with your family, with your sister, your mom, your dad. And so did I. We grew up in different homes. And so at the point where we come together in marriage, we had our own perspective, right? So what was I mean, if you want to share our experience, like when we got together, understanding that now in marriage we become one, and we have to submit to one another. How was that experience for you?
Yes, and I just want to add that I want to include myself because I was one of those people that definitely saw that verse negatively for most of my teenage years and even up to maybe the beginning of our marriage. I used to see that verse very negatively because I thought that I was going to lose my independence. I felt like even what I learned in college, when I was in college, I remember taking, they started offering all these women's studies and feminist classes, and I took a few of them, and I always, and I don't know if you remember, I always used to say, I'm an independent woman, and I was just afraid of losing my independence. That was very important to me, and I thought by getting married and that verse submitting to my husband, that's what it was going to mean, like that I was going to lose my independence. I was terrified of that, but the truth of the matter is that we talked about this in our previous episode, that when you listen to God, right, he has that person for you. He has the perfect partner for you that is going to complement you in every way. So when you listen to God and you enter into the covenant with that person that God has for you, you will not lose your independence. And I learned that I did not lose my independence at all. And I just want to stress that. If anything, I have weaknesses, obviously, and I feel you compliment me. My weakness is I don't need, sometimes we just help each other out and we make each other thrive, and we compliment each other.
And I thank God that you were able to hear God and over the noise that the world is making. The title of the episode, What Happened to Serving in Marriage. We live in a world where you listen to 2,000 lies every day at least. And it's so important. Yeah, I mean, that's what they said on Google.
Oh, okay.
I can't 100%. But regardless, we do know that we hear a bunch of lies throughout the day. This world is constantly lying to our youth and now even our children. And it's scary times, right? Because I feel like people are having a hard time getting along because of the lies that they told you. And then, the world teaches you to be prideful. The world teaches you to look out for yourself. But there is such a blessing and such a benefit in living in harmony, in serving each other, and obviously, it's not as hard to serve each other when you're, lovey-dovey, everything's fresh, no problems. And like you said, I mean, there's times when it's difficult, when we're not getting along, and you still have to serve your spouse. It's what we're talking about, serving in marriage, because you have to understand the value. So, for example, in our case, right, I thank God, and I guess I'm going to say this for the guys, I thank God that God was able to open your mind and touch your heart to see God's plan in marriage, and for you to accept that and follow it, right? Because it is very difficult. For example, it would be impossible for me to try to change your mind. For me to come in and just tell you, hey, what do you mean this and that? Like, no, everything's supposed to be together. And if you wanted to do your own thing, how am I ever going to stop you? I cannot stop you, because you're an adult woman with all the capacities that you need, right? So you would have to be humble enough to trust God's plan for our marriage over anything else that you've been able to hear.
Yeah, I mean, it can be hard to follow that when growing up is not something that was necessarily modeled for you. But at the same time, my spirit knew that a healthy marriage is the way to go. Again, it's not something that was necessarily exemplified for me, but I just knew that God wanted me to have a healthy marriage. And again, listening to God, and I didn't know what to do, but looking at people that have a healthy marriage, and reading the Bible definitely it helps, right? And we didn't know all the answers, like you said. Serving in the beginning, it's easier when there's no conflict. We used to say, I remember when we were first dating, that we just never fought, and I thought that was definitely weird. I was like, we're never gonna fight.
It was just you, me, and we were doing our careers and traveling, and I mean it was. But then what happens?
Yeah, and then the conflict comes, because that is inevitable. It will come.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we can't be naive. So when it did finally arrive, of course, those, what I was used to, I wanted to react in the way that I saw growing up, or what I've seen on TV. But one thing that we always discussed from the beginning, even before we were married, dating, was not to lose respect for one another. So I think that definitely, I know that definitely helped us navigating that conflict.
Yes.
Because if you start and you lose that respect, you're not going to go anywhere.
Once again, thank you again for continuing to join us as we are doing this podcast. If you have not yet, don't forget, we're on Spotify. Subscribe, like, and share for more. Talking about what happened to serving in marriage. Now, talking about the benefits that we have found in serving. We already talked a little bit about the unfortunate view that the world shows when it comes to serving in a marriage. And we expressed what God's plan is in a marriage, right? What the word says. He says submit to each other. So having done that, once again, not a perfect journey, but definitely some tools that have allowed us to get to where we're at today, has been serving each other. And that looks like, chores, doing...
You keep saying chores.
I'm just trying to make sure they know I do coffee in the morning every so often. And then we go, whatever, putting gas in your car. The way you do, you have dinner, the laundry, etc. Every home has their responsibilities, but we really help each other out. One of the great benefits that I've noticed, and not because we already brought it up, but other people have mentioned, they're like, wait, how come is it that, you're so lucky, he gets to put gas in your car or whatever, he cleans your car, you're so lucky, this and that. And then vice versa, I get the same thing. Oh, you're so lucky, you get a warm cooked meal at night, you get this and that. And it's like, I promise you, I never tell her to do that, and then you're never telling me to do it. It's more like, because we serve each other, now we have been able to enjoy a life of marriage where we have these great benefits. Like, I have somebody that takes care of me, and you have somebody that's taking care of you. And that's something that so many people are not enjoying now, because everybody's looking to take care of themselves, and they miss out on these beautiful perks that come up when there's servitude in a marriage.
Now, I also make sure, as time goes by, you'll see what things work and what doesn't. When you do need help, it's not to say that he won't help me if I need help. I will ask him, like, hey, can you help with fold the laundry today? I'm just done. Can you help with whatever? Or if I cook, he cleans the plates. Yeah.
But that's part of serving, right? The communication, yes. And which I do appreciate. It's also a tool for us to live a healthy marriage. When you're able to tell me, we do serve each other, but it does happen sometimes that I don't think about it, or, sometimes our mind is distracted in something else, and not necessarily, sometimes it's just, I'm not paying attention, but if a quick reminder, hey, listen, you know what, today, I need help with the bed. Yes. Or today I need help with this, with laundry, whatever the case may be. That's communication, and that allows us also to prevent from you getting frustrated, and from me, just or vice versa. Or if I need help in something, babe, I really need you to help me out with this. That expression, that communication, is very preventative and very healthy. And so a call to action that we do to all you that have been listening is try it out. Try it out this week, especially in your marriage. Don't even expect anything. Just try it out. We can all do better, right? Mm-hmm. And let's take this opportunity now that we're having this conversation to improve ourselves in this area, and do something that that your other half would appreciate. And that would be my call to action to everyone that's listening. So in my case, I'm going to think of something that I can do for you, Adri, to make you feel loved and appreciated. And I know that you'll take care of me also. And I pray that we take care of each other for another 100 years.
Yes, amen. And don't forget, serving in marriage is a good thing.
This is Cafe Negro Show. Thank you so much for your joining us. Subscribe, like, and share for more.